Hi everybody. Happy New Year. This is the first reading update video that I have done in a while. And I have a lot of new books on my TBR to talk about. Some are rereads and some are new books. We're going to start with Progress first. The first book that is on my current TBR that I am reading is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score, the second book in the Knock 'Em Out series. I read this book for the first time in the spring, and I just love Lucy Score's writing. And as I have said in other videos before, Waylay is my favorite character. She is Naomi's niece. In my reread, I am on chapter 45, page 484. The next book that I'm reading is a book that I borrowed from somebody from church choir when we had our potluck back in the fall. And this book is called American Dirt, which I believe is about drug smuggling from Mexico. And, Americans smuggling drugs into America from Mexico. And I am on page 86. The next book I am going to talk about today is the sequel by Jean Henneff Korelitz. I got this from my mother for Christmas, and I read the first book in this series, The Plot, in November. Let me read you what the synopsis is. After the insanely readable Stephen King and perfectly told Malcolm Gladwell New York Times bestseller of The Plot comes Jean Henneff's equally captivating new novel, The Sequel. Anna William Bonner has taken care of business. That is to say, she's taken care of her husband, best-selling novelist Jacob Finch Bonner, and laid to rest those anonymous accusations of plagiarism that so tormented him. Now she is living the contented life of a literary widow, enjoying her husband's royalty checks in perpetuality, but for the second time in her life, a work of fiction intercedes, and this time it's her own debut novel, The Afterword. After all, how hard can it really be to write a universally lauded bestseller? But when Anna publishes her book and indulges in her own literary acclaim, she begins to receive excerpts of a novel she never expected to see again, a novel that should no longer exist. That it does mean something has gone very wrong, and someone out there knows far too much about her late brother, her late husband, and just possibly Anna herself. What does this person want, and what are they prepared to do? She has come too far and worked too hard to lose what she values most, the sole and most uncontested right to her own story, and she is, by any other standard, a master storyteller. With her signature wit and sardonic humor, Jean Henneff Korelitz gives readers an anti-hero to root for while illuminating and satirizing our world of publishing in this deliciously fun and suspenseful novel. Right now, I am on page 115. And the cool thing about this book is that all of the chapters are named after book titles. So, for example, I can give you a couple of examples. It Starts With Us is named after It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. That's chapter 1. Chapter 10 is Little Women, which is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. But there is also a book by Louisa May Alcott called Little Men, that is a sequel to Little Women that I haven't read yet. And then there's a third sequel called Jo's Boys, which I read and gave 4 stars to, and I gave It Ends With Us 2.5 stars. Another chapter title is Dr. Sleep, which is based off The Shining by Stephen King, which I gave 3.75 stars to. Another book title that I want to mention is Son of a Witch, which is a book in the Wicked series by Gregory Maguire. The next book I wanted to report progress on is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. My mother-in-law, Sally, gave me this for Christmas, and I am currently on page 204. The next book is called Of Time and Turtles by Cy Montgomery. I'm pretty sure I have heard of this author before because she also writes children's books, and I have a feeling I might have read some of her children's books when I was younger. So this book is about the author's work at a turtle rescue in Massachusetts during COVID-19, and it was recommended to me by Olive at A Book Olive. And I bought it with some money that I got for Christmas, and I am currently on chapter 9, page 147. The next book I wanted to talk about is Hello Beautiful, which was one of my top favorite books that I read last year. This is a modern retelling of Little Women, and Anna Napolitano's writing is beautiful. In my reread, I am on page 218. The next book is a book I got on sale for 20% off at Target last weekend when I went shopping with money we got for Christmas from Paul and Sally. So this book is a historical fiction by Rebecca Yarros, the same author of the Imperialism series that Fourth Wing is in. I like her historical fiction books better than the Fourth Wing series. Like, Fourth Wing got 4 stars, but Iron Flame got 2.75 stars, and Ongstorm is coming out at the end of the month. I don't think I'm going to be reading that because I wasn't really that into Iron Flame because I thought Xaden was really mean to Violet. So this book is about a girl named Georgia who is going through the process of going through her dead grandmother's belongings after she dies, and she's trying to publish a manuscript about how she survived World War II, and she meets a guy named Noah who is a pilot at the pinnacle of his aviation career. So I love the relationship that has built up between Georgia and Noah, and I think they are very sweet together. Another historical fiction I have read by Rebecca Yarros is her new release Variation, which came out on November 19th, and this is a romance that is set in modern day, so it's not really historical fiction, it's contemporary romance. And I have mentioned in other videos that it kind of is like a modern day version of The Notebook, though the main guy, Hudson, is not abusive like Noah is to Allie, like in the early parts of their relationships. My next reread that I'm in the middle of is A Song of Achilles. This was one of my top 23 books of 2023, and it is a modern retelling of the Trojan War in ancient Greece. And my favorite character in this book is definitely Patroclus, and I think he deserves much more better than Achilles, because Achilles is sort of a jerk to him. My next reread is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is the story of 2 sisters who are in World War II. Their names are V. Ann and Isabel, and it's about how their relationship is tested by the war and how their family builds up. And I just love how the war builds their relationship and develops it. Short intermission. The next book that I am currently in the middle of is my buddy read for January with my neighbor Kathleen. as I have been mentioning before, we are watching Gilmore Girls right now and are currently midway through season 2, watching 2 episodes of season 3 in between season 1 and season 2 episodes to help me better write my fanfiction chapters for the Five Musketeers. So I heard about this book through Gabby Reads and a Book Olive, and also a list I found online about books that best describe Gilmore Girls characters. And this book is a memoir of a woman who hiked the Pacific Crest Trail to help her cope with her divorce and the death of her mom. So far, I am really liking this, though I can't really say I can connect it to the part of the main character's story where she deals with losing her mom, or getting divorced, but, like, I can definitely relate to the grief storyline, because while I haven't lost my mom, I have lost my grandparents earlier in the past couple of years, and I've talked about my process with grieving them in the past. Now it's time to do a mini library book haul. The first book that I am going to talk about is a book that I got before Christmas. I never did a book haul when I first got this book out of the library because I actually don't remember why. I think I might have been too tired or something. But I'm reading this book for Gabby Reads Winterween Marathon that is starting on next Saturday, the 10th. And this is a horror book. I will read you the description. Mina arrives in New Orleans to visit her estranged sister, Libby. She loves nothing more than a creepy horror movie and can't wait to explore the city's darkest secrets. Vampire towns, seedy bars, spooky cemeteries, disturbing local myths. Mina lands a part-time job at a horror movie mansion and meets Jared, Libby's gorgeous housemate and fellow horror enthusiast. But the perfect summer bliss is broken when she stumbles upon the body of a girl with puncture marks at her neck and clutching a lock of hair that suspiciously resembles Libby's. Someone is replicating New Orleans' most brutal supernatural killings. Mina must discover the truth and prove her sister's innocence before she becomes the victim of another myth. A fun romp through '90s pop culture, vampires, Buffy the Crow, need I say more? Don Krujika. So, Gabby actually reviewed this book in a previous wrap-up. I think it was either from October or November. So, I can't wait to read this. I'm really excited. The next book is on my From Manhattan to Stars Hollow, Friends and Gilmore Girls TBR, and it is a graphic novel called Manfred the Man by Caitlin Major and Kelly Bastow. I found this book on a list through the Chicago Public Library that paired up books with Friends characters, and this is the book that they picked for Phoebe. So I'm excited to read this and see how it connects to Phoebe's character. The next book was recommended to me by, I believe either Riley Marie or Sarah without an H. It's called The Memory Theater. From the award-winning author of Amather and Jaguar, the fantastical tour de force about friendship, interdimensional theater, in a magical place where no one ages except the young. In a world just parallel to ours exists a mystical realm known as the Gardens. It's a place where feasts never end, games of croquet have devastating consequences, and teenagers are punished for growing up. For a select group of masters, it's a decadent paradise where time stands still. But for those who serve them, it's a slow torture where their lives can be ended in a blink. In a bid to escape before their youth betrays them, Dorrit and Thistle, best friends and confidants, set on a remarkable journey through time and space. Traveling between their world and ours, they hunt for the one person who can grant them freedom. Along the way, they encounter a mysterious traveler who trades in favors and never forgets debts. A crossroad at the center of the universe, our own world on the brink of war, a traveling troupe of actors with the ability to unlock the fabric of reality. Endlessly inventive, the Memory Theater takes us to a wondrous place where destiny is yet to be written, life is a performance, and magic can erupt at any moment. It is Karen Tidbeck's most engrossing and irresistible tale yet. So to me, this book sounds like a combination of Neverland from Peter Pan and Wonderland from Alice in Wonderland. So I'm really, really excited to read this. The next book was recommended to me by Olive at a Book Olive, and it's called 84 Charing Cross Road by Helene Hanff. This is about a woman who corresponded with a bookstore owner in London to try to find books that were not available to her in America. And the letters start off as transactional, but then they become friends. And I can't wait to see how the friendship builds up. The last two books that I'm going to talk about were recommended to me by Carrie Kinrees in one of her Dark Academia videos that was either from 2 years ago or the year before that. It was like a travel blog where she goes around to different museums in Seoul and reads different Dark Academia books. So this book is set at a museum in Manhattan, and it's a story about a girl who gets an internship at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City, but then it gets canceled because her advisor gets a job in Paris at the last minute or something. So she ends up getting a backup job at the Cloisters, which is this really other fancy art museum in Upper Manhattan, which I actually have never heard of. So I'm excited to read this because I have never read it before. This book was also recommended to me by Carrie Kinreed and is called Attribution. When art historian Kate... I can't read what this says because it's covered up by the thing. So this is a Dark Academia book about a girl who works in an art museum who is trying to track down this artwork from ancient Spain, and it kind of reminds me of The Art Forger by B.A. Shapiro, only instead of being about an art heist in Boston, it's about a person who's trying to track down a plagiarized piece of artwork from Spain and try to restore it and get it back to its original owner. So I'm really excited about reading this book. It's on my backdated TBR from Thriller Horror Dark Academia from last fall. So if I really like The Cloisters and if I really like this book, then I will reread them again during Halloween. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. I will be back soon with another reading update video, probably in the next week or so. Thank you for tuning in. Good night.